So The Last of Us Part 2. It took a while. But I finally understand it. I finally understand the point of the game. No, not the message of revenge and all that. No, I understand why it was made in that light. Why it was made in that format. Furthermore, I understand why we, as the consumer base, the large variety of gamers that love Joe and Ellie, didn't want this story to be told. Or at least to continue in this format, in this fashion, with these themes involved. I get that. I truly do. I hope to explain my journey with The Last of Us, my feelings among them, and maybe I can earn you to subscribe. But let's get to it. The Last of Us Part 1 is a simple story about a man in his grief with losing the people he loves. That's something you can never truly get over, or even something that you're never really prepared for it. You simply get used to it. And Joe didn't get used to it. He refused to get used to it. He didn't want to do it. As you can see, after his daughter died, he became very close, very cold, very distant. We don't know how him and Tess were when they first met. And to be honest, I wish we got a DLC explaining that. That would have been nice to see a different side of Joe. But we can tell by how he treated Ellie throughout the whole game, the first game. How it took a while for him to warm up to her and for him to just let her in. You know? It took a while. It took her actually confronting him about it. Because let's be real, Joe's kind of an asshole. Rightly so. The world isn't easy and he's just trying the best to survive. But he doesn't need to be such a dick. Though we can use Tommy as an example. Tommy has his wife. Tommy has a community to look after. Joe is just a smuggler. So they live different lives. While Tommy had to help build a community and have the connections around him to soften him up, to keep him, well, human, emotional, like happy. Joe had to do a hard job. Smuggling ain't an easy thing. And as we saw at the beginning of The Last of Us Part 1, once something goes belly up, people lose their lives. And that environment, that profession, forces you to become hard. Which is what he did, which is what Tess was. I say all of this to say that throughout the course of The Last of Us Part 1, there is a clear distinction and a clear reasoning behind Joel's psychology. Family. He values his connections he's formed with the people around him. So much so that when Tess tells him, hey yo, please, there's something here between us. There's enough that you owe this to me.
There's enough here that you have to feel some sort of obligation to me, so you get her to Tommy's.
Joel obliged, and he obliged fully. And then, when that same situation was brought up again with Ellie, she said, come on, please don't leave me. Stay with me, take me, which was all she wanted.
Everyone I have cared for has either died or left me. Everyone fucking except for you. So don't tell me that I would be safer with someone else, because the truth is I would just be more scared.
He once again honored that relationship. In that moment right there, once you think about it, it perfectly examines Joe to the core. This man can't let it go. He can't let the people he's around, the connections he's made, go. Could it be trauma from what happened to Sarah? Absolutely. Could it be the years of all his smuggling and the things he had to deal to survive at the camp? Absolutely. But we see him throughout the game and then understand how he feels at the end. Being told, you gotta let this little girl go for the rest of us. And he couldn't. He just couldn't let it go. Even if he knew the job, even if he knew what it meant, even if they explained to him, he just couldn't let her go. Losing Ellie will be once again like losing Sarah. We already know this, so I'm not going to harp on that fact. But it's important to lay that out for the foundation that goes on forward from here on out. When Ellie asked him to explain what happened with the fireflies, and he lied to her, he passed that character flaw onto her. Because she had some inclination, she had some understanding. She knows something's up. She's been with this man for a while. She's learned him. She's grown to admire him. He's come through for her. But now she understands that he can't truly be trusted. And we see this in the flashback in the second game, when he lies to her, when she has her doubts. So much so that she can't let it go. And she goes back. She goes back to the Firefly. She goes back for answers. And once she knows what's up, she wants to hear it from his mouth. And that's when he has to let it go. This, understandably, destroys Ellie. Mentally and emotionally just does a number on Ellie. Because her suspicions were correct. And she's always pushed him back. Because she believed in this man. And he lied to her. And now, her survivor guilt is through the roof. Because Joe's sweet lie made it seem like it wasn't that bad. Right? Made it seem like hey, you got your hopes up for nothing. It wasn't that great of a deal. It wasn't going to happen. At least you're alive. But now, surviving Riley.
There are a million ways we should have died before today.
Really?
Henry and his brother.
Henry, no.
Oh my God.
And even
Want us to just
Tess.
leave you here?
Yes.
There's no way that...
I will not turn into one of those things.
Now, she survived while they didn't. And she's immune. And there could have been a cure. So no one has to go through that again. And Joe took that away from her. Understandably, she's pretty pissed at him. But she learns to move on. She truly does.
But I would like to try.
Now, when it comes to The Last of Us Part 2, there isn't much to talk about. Because you can sum up The Last of Us Part 2 in a very short paragraph. Two girls learn a painful lesson the hardest way possible. They learn about loss, they learn about what's worth, and they learn about revenge and what it truly costs. And that's it. You can describe The Last of Us Part 2 in those words, and that would be the whole game. But that does a disservice to the game and the people who made it. I'm gonna be real with you. I'm breaking the script right now. I didn't finish The Last of Us Part 2 the first time I played it for the P4. I didn't see the point. As soon as Tommy came back with the complete switcheroo different character arc and he's like, go get them, go get her, don't let her escape. I knew where this was going. I saw Abby and Ellie in that moment. That's the thing I hated the most about that scene. And I still hate that scene for that one reason. Because they're both in the same situation. They're going after someone because they felt like they've been wrong. Justifiably so. And both recount both sides are correct in going after the other. But what does that cost you? What does it mean to enact vengeance? It means to pass it on. It means that you can't let it go. And that's what happened. That's genuinely what happened. Abby couldn't let it go. She was living a good life, a simple life, a great life, right? She had a gym, she had people around them, they had cars, they had a good community, it was strong. And she took her closest friends, anybody that would follow her, and went on a crusade for Joe. To add to that issue, she took out her vengeance on Joe and just wailed on him for a while. She didn't need to do that. But because of that one act of vengeance, of malice, whatever you want to call it, Ellie had enough time to get there. Ellie had enough time to see what was happening. And most importantly, Ellie had enough time to see their faces, to catch some names, to get some details. Because Abby couldn't let it go swiftly, because she just didn't want to end it at that one moment. It cost her everything. And now, we see that same scenario play out once again. Ellie couldn't let it go. She was living with PTS. She had a child. She had Dana. Tommy showed up, routed up, and she couldn't let it go. So now she lost her wife, or her spouse. She lost her child. She lost her home. She even lost 2 damn fingers. And that's what I mean when I say two girls learned the same painful lesson the worst way possible. Both of them can never go back to being the people they were. They've been scarred, damaged. The people around them suffered and died because of them. They've been 100% consumed and tainted by vengeance. Even if Ellie did the job and she finished it, and she actually chopped those two people up, Abby and Lem. It pretty much cost her everything. It cost her her home, her spouse, her child, and one of the few connections she had with Joe, which was playing guitar. So if you still haven't pieced it together, I'm just gonna say it out loud, clear as day. And every zombie media, post-apocalyptic media, where zombies are the main threat and the world's gone to shits, it's always about the people and how they react, what they're willing to do, the monsters they become, the lines that they cross, the things they regret. Look at The Walking Dead, both the game and the TV show. Clementine could so easily become Ellie. And in the show, there's numerous other samples of characters that are just monsters for the sake of being monsters. And it's not only just The Walking Dead. Look at Days Gone. Look at Resident Evil, Dead Island, Dying Light. And my favorite example for this specific topic would be Dead Rising. After playing all those games, I can see why this was a natural evolution, or the natural path, the logical path for The Last of Us Part 2, for Ellie's story. And it's important to say Ellie's story, because Abby could have been switched out from anybody. Could have been a mother, could have been a brother, could have been a cousin, could have been a fiance. Abby could have been switched out for anybody, and the story would have been still told the same. And don't get me wrong, it was never about the cure. Because in every game, every media that tackles the whole zombie epidemic, few even tackle that subject of a cure. It's always about the people and what you're willing to do for them. It's always about the choices you made for the people around you. Because when the world becomes completely and utterly chaos, becomes shit, when there's no laws, how far are you willing to go? And what are you willing to sacrifice for it? Even if I didn't like the story being told here, it's a good one. Yeah, it's a good one.